So the price of Bitcoin near an all-time high, getting closer now to the $94,000 level. And this happening as ETF options going live, giving investors a new way to hedge their exposure. Kenzie Segalis is here, joins us with more this morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Andrew.
So what's going on?
Is what U.S. crypto investors have been waiting for. On Tuesday, the Nasdaq listed options on BlackRock's $44 billion spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, day one of trading showed that more than 80% of options volume were call orders to buy Bitcoin, meaning that investors are betting that the token is poised for even more gains. And this is just the first of the U.S.-based asset issuers to offer options. The other 10 providers will soon follow suit, with several more slated to list on the New York Stock Exchange later today. Now, this is really a significant moment for Bitcoin adoption, because rather than just buying and holding the asset, this next stage is all about creating a new margin framework for Bitcoin so that you can amplify your returns. Being able to hedge positions and make leveraged bets is a big draw both to retail and to institutions. And even though we've seen a lot of trading volume on the CME derivatives exchange, getting options tied to these spot crypto products on the Nasdaq and NYSE is a big unlock for traders, because ultimately, Andrew, a more robust onshore derivatives market is how you attract fresh investment, which is a tailwind for the price of Bitcoin.
It really boggles the mind what I was just thinking about. You could write calls. You could write calls. You could buy puts to protect your downside. You could sell puts to acquire Bitcoin at a lower price than where it is. You can do spreads. You can do straddles. The volatility is so high, the option premiums must be exorbitant. So you could sell options.
But so the question is, does the volatility come down materially?
And that's what a lot of analysts say will happen.
Yes. And if that happens, but does that then put a cap on it, or does that?
Can it happen? Because that's a tail wagging the dog. Because Bitcoin is in here. Yeah, but by definition, Bitcoin has been volatile. Do you think options really could lessen the volatility of the underlying asset?
I mean, that's what some analysts are saying, especially as you build out a more robust market infrastructure around this, you bring in more institutional money. And what I will say in terms of like building out what you can do with these spot crypto products, you've got Grayscale updating its prospectus just this week to do a covered call ETF for Bitcoin. So you're seeing that those are the products that these issuers are indexing toward, rather than having spot funds around all of these altcoins.
Because you just mentioned 80% of the volume is in calls, so that must mean they're rich premiums in the calls. You could sell those, and if it doesn't hit it, you just keep that premium.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it protects your downside if it goes down a little.
Thank you for coming in.
In a startling turn of events, Microstrategy, the high beta play on Bitcoin, has secured a coveted spot in the Nasdaq 100 index, setting the stock market abuzz with speculation and excitement. As the favorite proxy for Bitcoin, Microstrategy's journey to this prestigious list promises a tidal wave of ripple effects across trading floors and investment portfolios alike. But what does this mean for investors, traders, and the future of cryptocurrency-linked stocks? Well, the details are just beginning to unfold, with prominent figures and companies like Microstrategy and Palantir Technologies also taking center stage in this evolving narrative. Strap in as we delve deeper into this financial drama that could very well redefine market dynamics in the days to come. Welcome back to Investocracy Crypto.
I'm interested in ultimately what you've seen in terms of trading on the platform since the election.
The day post-election, the Wednesday post-election, our business doubled. We saw 100% growth in Bitcoin purchases. Our customers are predominantly purchasing Bitcoin, and over 90% since election are actually taking the Bitcoin off the platform and holding it in their own custody. So we're not seeing active speculative trading on gambling on the short-term price. We're seeing long-term accumulation on our platform, and our customers are excited. We serve Bitcoiners, and Bitcoiners are excited right now.
Okay, so you're maybe supporting those that are focused purely on the ecosystem, but people are going elsewhere to trade, whether it's gambling or not. We now got options trading on the Bitcoin spot ETFs. What do you think of that? What do you make of this transition from, well, DeFi and crypto into more traditional finance?
Well, the last time I was on this show, I told you and Ed, which Ed, congrats, by the way, I'm thinking of you. I told you guys I thought Bitcoin was the only money in crypto. I wasn't sold on any of the other cryptocurrencies, and that my business, we're predicated on Bitcoin as money, and we sell our customers financial services. So if you're a customer of mine, you want Bitcoin financial services, you want to buy it, you want to store it, you want to move it, you want to pay your bills with it, you maybe want a loan against it. These are the type of products that we want to serve our customers in the future. We do not think of ourselves as a speculative exchange, so that's my customer base. Options, ETFs, MSTR, All of these things are pro-liquidity for Bitcoin. What you want in a money or a store of value is you want it to be sellable. You want it to be liquid at any point, 24/7, 365, globally. You want to be able to sell it. And so all of this is pro-liquidity, which enhances the profile for Bitcoin to be a better asset for a government, a corporation, an individual. So everything is bullish for Bitcoin. That's what I always say. So another day, more bullish activity for the asset.
The inclusion of MicroStrategy in the Nasdaq 100 index marks a significant milestone, not just for the company, but also for the broader adoption of Bitcoin in traditional financial markets. Known for its bold bet on the flagship cryptocurrency, MicroStrategy has seen its stock rise more than six-fold this year, riding on Bitcoin's 140% uptick. The company's transition from a software enterprise to a Bitcoin holding giant has raised eyebrows and sparked discussions in stock market circles, often resembling a spirited cocktail party where Bitcoin and Wall Street mingle with unprecedented enthusiasm. MicroStrategy's metamorphosis began back in 2020 when it first added Bitcoin to its balance sheet, a decision spearheaded by then CEO Michael Saylor. Now serving as the company's executive chairman, Saylor has articulated MicroStrategy's vision to securitize Bitcoin and bridge traditional capital with the burgeoning crypto economy. This vision seemed to resonate with investors, especially after MicroStrategy's aggressive Bitcoin acquisitions totaling 423,650 coins, fueled by the favorable economic climate under President-elect Donald Trump's pro-crypto administration. Jokes abound about MicroStrategy's new role, with investors quipping that it's now more of a crypto hedge fund than a software company. Yet, the market's reaction has been anything but jocular. According to Gautam Chugani, an analyst at Bernstein, the inclusion of MicroStrategy in the Nasdaq 100 will likely spur substantial investment influxes from ETFs like the Invesco QQQ Trust. Chugani hints at the tantalizing possibility of future S&P 500 inclusion, a prospect tantalizingly close yet challenging due to current constraints in the company's profitability metrics.
Why, for this liquidity, for this vision, for the future of money, you need a strategic Bitcoin reserve? Because I know that's what you've been speaking to Cynthia Loomis about. Sorry, we're having infrastructure issues today.
Not your fault. Not your fault. Here, I think the unique positioning on the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, I think if this happens, this will be one of the most important economic announcements in U.S. history. I think it'd be on par with 1971 and Nixon. However, what I think is not being talked about enough is it's positive, Caroline. It's positive.
Because you'd have to go out there and buy in the market, but will that actually happen?
No, my meaning is this. In 1933, the U.S. had a really big economic announcement. What was it? We're taking all your gold. In 1971, the U.S. had a really big economic announcement. What was it? We're divorcing ourselves from the gold standard so we can print money. In 2008, the U.S. had a really big economic announcement. What was it? It was we're bailing out all the big banks that misbehaved. In 2025, if the U.S. has a really big economic announcement, what is it? It's we're pro-technology, we're pro-innovation. What principles and morals and ethical alignment does Bitcoin have? Equal rights, equal opportunity, an open network. These are American ideals, American values. This is an asset that was accessible to the people 15 years ago that the people own. Governments only own 2, 3, 4% of this asset. This asset is held by the people. It acts in the best interest of the public. It's pro-jobs, it's pro-energy, it's pro-industry, it's pro-growth. And does anyone else have a plan to get us out of debt? Are we going to start a lemonade stand out here in Times Square? No, how about the best performing asset in the history of mankind? We lean into it, we buy it. Coinbase is an American company, Strike's an American company, Kraken's an American company, Tether sells the US dollar. Let's support these businesses, let's support this industry.
But the market cap is less than Nvidia for the entire crypto ecosystem. When does that become bigger?
I think when people buy it, listen, I think that ego gets in the way of many people. People think they're late to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, right? I think that late according to who? Oh, because you're comparing yourself to Michael Saylor, you're comparing yourself to your college roommate, you're comparing yourself to your coworker. Over the last 15 years, the best thing you could have done is buy Bitcoin. And I think that's going to be true for the next 1,500 years. And so as a country, I think we have a choice. I think everyone else around the world is understanding we are pro-growth, pro-business, pro-Bitcoin as this new administration takes office. And we have to make a decision. I think the worst thing we can do is not own enough. And actually, to de-risk this, we should buy some and push these American ideals in technology and innovation and growth through the best performing asset and technology in mankind.
Interestingly, this financial spectacle extends beyond MicroStrategy. Companies like Palantir Technologies and Axon Enterprise are also poised to enter the Nasdaq 100, adding layers of intrigue to the index's rebalancing act. Meanwhile, top exiters include Illumina and Moderna, who now retreat to recalibrate their strategies amid this high-voltage atmosphere. This vibrant dynamic is not without precedent. Last year's Nasdaq 100 reconstitution saw new entrants, like DoorDash, enjoy post-announcement price surges. Whether MicroStrategy and its fellow newcomers will experience similar fortunes remains a subject of speculative debate among investors, many eagerly anticipating the advent of December 23rd when these changes take effect. The synthesis of buzz and business creates a riveting storyline for market observers, with Bitcoin advocates delighting in how mainstream acceptance of digital assets is reshaping investment tactics across the globe. In this unfolding drama, MicroStrategy stands not just as a character, but as the protagonist steering its plot with persistence, daring, and a penchant for high-stakes game playing.
Strat Global Advisors Head of Research Tom Lee joins us on set today. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
So based on what Taneo was describing with regard to Bitcoin, what do you think that this most recent rally says about the overall risk appetite in the market right now?
Well, it's really telling us investors are pro-risk. I do think it also just signals how much capital has been idle for the last couple of years, either parked in money market cash or waiting to see if the economy survived. So I think Bitcoin rising is to me, breaking out of a holding pattern is a precursor to what the S&P is going to do the rest of the year.
Speaking of the moves in the broader markets, you say the road to 6,300 is paved with bumps. What do you expect investors to see ahead that may slow them down? What are some of the key markers that you're looking for?
Well, I think there's a lot of macro to digest the next 3 weeks. Tomorrow is the jobs report, and I think investors are fearful that it's going to be too strong because of the hurricane and seasonal adjustment, so it's going to be a big number. Next week is CPI, which has been running a little hot, and Fed Chair Powell spoke about that earlier this week. And then, of course, on the 18th is the FOMC rate decision. So I think once we're through these events, investors can actually then invest into sort of that Christmas Santa Claus rally. So I think 6,300 is still very doable.
So you're basically saying don't go away after the 18th because there may be some additional upside toward the end of the year?
Yes, or buy the dips, yeah.
So, you suggest there that we're in a good news is bad news for stocks environment. Why should the market be concerned if the Fed is going to be less aggressive in terms of cutting rates?
I think there's a conceptual change that the market has to get used to, which is, let's say earlier this year when the Fed started cutting, people thought, 5 cuts is good for stocks in 2025. So if the number gets reduced, it's bearish. I think as we get into 2025, the market's going to shift to thinking the fewest cuts possible next year is the best case because it elongates the dovish cycle. So I think we have to flip the script, but it's going to take some time.
But hasn't that been the case all year? Because in January of this year, the market was implying 6 or 7 cuts. We're only getting a few. We've slowed the pace. The 2-year yield is not that far below Fed funds anymore. So I guess my point is the market's already kind of registered that slower is better.
That's right. I think it's, I would just say it's not a consensus accepted view because, for instance, when Fed Chair Powell spoke about taking things a little slower, the market got weak and then maybe had a rethink. So I think it's going to take a while until markets realize 1 cut next year is actually quite bullish.
Are you surprised that equities haven't reacted to some of the political turmoil abroad, South Korea, France, elsewhere?
In some ways, I think the stock market had been already pricing this in because, as you know, this year has been a pretty significant divergence between U.S. versus Europe and U.S. versus emerging markets and even China's sort of failed rally. So I think in some ways the market's not surprised. Maybe it was even pricing in this through currencies and equity prices.
Tom, I'm going to go back a long ways to our long relationship. Do you still even track active managers and how much, they're trailing their bogeys at all, and whether that's a factor in any way at the end of the year?
Yeah, in fact, we've been cleaning up that data because, as you know, in the last 10 years, there's been a big change in the number of managers. It's good. It's kind of a good and bad year because active managers that tactically went cyclical or more offensive or tech have been having banner years. We have so many clients that are beating their benchmark by 6, 7, 8. These are unheard of outperformance, but it's a small number because, as you know, when you look at the world more towards macro or market neutral, it's been very tough.
As the dust settles and anticipation crescendos, MicroStrategy emerges as a compelling investment opportunity on the cusp of potentially transformative growth. With its recent induction into the Nasdaq 100 and its audacious Bitcoin acquisition strategy, the stock is positioned favorably for those looking to bet on the fusion of traditional finance and emergent cryptocurrency frontiers. Analysts forecast continued growth driven by both MicroStrategy's innovative tactics and Bitcoin's bullish trajectory, setting the stage for potential S&P 500 inclusion by 2025. Presently, MicroStrategy's stock navigates a thrilling upward trajectory, its unique positioning as a Bitcoin proxy rendering it a darling of investors inclined towards high-risk, high-reward scenarios. The debate now echoes through trading rooms and online forums alike. Will MicroStrategy's gamble pay off in long-term gains? What lies ahead in this heady confluence of tech, finance, and digitized wealth? Your perspective could add richness to this discussion. How do you perceive MicroStrategy's strategies and their impact on both traditional and digital finance spheres? Share your thoughts, insights, and forecasting predilections as we watch this financial tale unfold together.